Tolkien, for instance, knew the hero of his epic had to be humble and ordinary, a little hobbit from the Shire, and Pullman in his dark materials makes his challenge to the magisterium, a little girl with a small man as a sidekick. The problem for Milton is that there often seems no human point of view, no one to identify with. His work seems grand and cold and austere, bereft of tenderness, bereft of simplicity, bereft of warmth and humanity. Ironically, it can often seem very much like the icy heaven that Satan rebelled against. But it isn't entirely true, of course. Dig deeper into his work, and you find a poet whose work can sometimes, just sometimes, really touch the heart. Remember that line I quoted earlier? They also serve who only stand and wait. Well, it's the last line of Sonnet 19, in which he questions his growing blindness, because, as everybody knows, poet Milton went blind, and he had to dictate many of his poems.
The poetic fates of the two great writers we encounter this afternoon. When I was preparing for this conversation, I discovered a particularly fascinating motif: blindness. In 1638, John Milton met the scientist Galileo Galilei in Florence before penning Paradise Lost. At the time of this meeting, Galileo was 72 and was under house arrest for his belief in a heliocentric universe. This was the year Galileo, whose entire livelihood relied on visual sense perception, went completely blind. A combination of cataracts and glaucoma. Imagine what a conversation took place between the poet Milton and the blind astronomer.
The final line, as we were hearing, is very, very famous, and it echoes around the heads of poets, and it echoed enough to turn up kind of a bit twisted and a bit distorted in the third verse of a poem of mine that I'll read to you.
Reclaiming of the not prophetic but the kind of didactic role of the priest, but that amazing image of the creator spirit sitting like a dove incubating the chaos before worlds became is an absolutely stunning and beautiful one. But isn't it muddled? Because on one hand this is the classical muse, and on the other hand it's the Christian Holy Spirit. I mean, what's going on here? Well, one thing that's going on is, of course, an invocation of the beginning of Virgil's the Aeneid, which starts, I sing of arms and the man. And Virgil was Dante's guide through the Divine Comedy, through hell and purgatory and heaven.
No middle flight intends to soar above the Aeolian Mount, while it pursues things unattempted, yet in prose or rhyme. So, wow. Milton was not a poet lacking in ambition or confidence.
Madhusudan was a great admirer of John Milton, mainly Tasso, Petrarch. He was a great admirer of Italian poets, Petrarch, Dante, Tasso, but his idea of epic poetry came from John Milton's Paradise Lost.
But patience to prevent that murmur soon replied, God doth not need either man's work or his own gifts, who best bear his mild yoke, they serve him best. His state is kingly. Thousands at his bidding speed, and post o'er land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand.